He would lead.
Dude, look at the way how his face moves. What in the world? We are back. Another Russian history.
1815.
Russian history reacts by TV.
At the Battle of Waterloo, French Emperor Napoleon suffers his final defeat, and two decades of war in Europe come to an end.
I haven't, like, gotten to that part. Let's hope I don't get spoiled.
The victorious powers, led by Austria, Britain, Prussia, and Russia, meet at Vienna to decide the fate of Europe.
Congress of Vienna, yada yada. I don't want to get spoiled. I'm scared. I don't want to get spoiled. I'm just gonna skip. I don't, because people have told me to react to the Congress of Vienna. So.
In 1812, Napoleon had invaded Russia with the largest army Europe had ever seen.
Oh my goodness.
It was a
Is this going to spoil me?
defining moment in his reign. But he underestimated Russian resolve. 4 months later, the remnants of his army began its infamous retreat from Moscow. The Russian army and its coalition allies then drove Napoleon's forces back across Europe, fighting giant battles in Germany, and finally arriving in the streets of Paris itself.
Right.
Napoleon's abdication was a moment of triumph for Emperor Alexander and for Russia.
Yep.
For many young Russian officers, it was also an eye-opening.
Bro, I was so freaking, like, scared for a second because I'm, like, reacting to the Napoleonic Wars right now. I'm not even, like, close to freaking that freaking series. I think I'm on, like, what? I know I finished the Battle of Eylau. Oh, that freaking hell, that was crazy.
Experience. Imperial Russia was an autocracy, ruled by an emperor with no checks upon his power.
Yeah.
There was no political opposition or constitution. There was no freedom of speech or right to trial.
Bro, it's crazy to me how Russia is basically the same way. Actually, to be honest, when you really and truly think about it, right? Russia today is quite literally like the freest, right? It's ever been. You know? Think about that. Russia today, it's the freest that it's ever been, bro. Like, people think that people are restricted in Russia. I don't really think that people in Russia are restricted. Although, I think I said this in, like, what, my my Russian history. I think I said how, like, it's not that they're restricted, it's just that they can't criticize the government, but they have the right to trial, and the death penalty is abolished in Russia, actually, although I heard somewhere that they're considering to bring it back. Probably abolish the death penalty because Russia has a population crisis, I don't know.
Approximately 80% of Russians were serfs, peasants with no rights, freedom, or hope of betterment.
So let's talk about serfs, right? Because I was reading my comments in my my Russian history reactions, and somebody said that serfs were not slaves. They said that serfs were like a bit above slaves. He said that because they like own their land, and they lived on their land that they owned, so they were like above slaves. I was gonna like react to that and type my response out, but I was like, no, I'm probably just gonna eventually like say this whenever I react to another Russian history, so I'm gonna say it now. Yes, he's technically right, but serfs were still by all means technically slaves, and here's why. Sure, they lived on the land that they worked on, but who did they have to pay? They still had someone. They were still bound to someone that they had to like work for, if that makes sense. I'm kind of bad at like explaining things. So they were indirectly slaving away. Sure, they lived on the land, but what rights did they have? Not much. Besides their land. Essentially just making them a slave. Like, that like if you don't have like rights to do whatever the heck you want, bro, slave. You don't have rights to do whatever the heck you want, and you're like working for someone, slave. Like they're indirectly slaving themselves away, quite literally. You know, I don't know if that makes sense. Let me on pause and continue.
Status passed down to their children.
Yeah, again, this is like, and they're like, it's like hereditary, bro. So you can't even like change your lifestyle. Basically slavery, bro.
The inefficiency, not to mention injustice of such a system, was increasingly apparent even to many Russian aristocrats.
Oh, that's mad, bro.
In Europe,
oh my goodness, bro. Freaking, bro. Imagine a system like that being so bad that the aristocrats are even pointing out how bad that is.
Serving as officers in the Russian army, they'd visited countries where serfdom had been swept aside by war and revolution, and where monarchs had granted constitutions that limited their power, protected freedoms, and acknowledged the rule of law.
Yeah, exactly, bro. Like, in these countries right here, you know, like, these people actually have, like, rights and whatnot. But you're a serf, dude. You are tied to your land, and that's it. That's basically slavery, bro. Oh, but you have your land. Okay, what do you have outside of your land? What can you do? Nothing. If you can't do nothing, I just remember, I just clocked that the comment that I read, they were like, as a slave, you're owned by someone. They said that serfs weren't owned. Sure, they weren't owned, but I could indirectly argue, well, I could like say that they were indirectly owned by their feudal lords, which they had to go and pay their tributes to, if I have the correct definition of serfdom in my head. I might have to go Google that, or you could just go explain the whole system of serfdom. Actually, somebody explained the system of serfdom in Russia in much more detail. I would read that, because I read all of my comments, even the long paragraph one. So, and sometimes I might be like missing something, and someone will like tell me, and I would be like, oh, okay, that answers like something that was bothering my head. So based on the definition of my definition of serfdom that I remember, it's still like indirect slavery. So
many were inspired and began to dream of similar reforms in Russia. But few placed faith in Emperor Alexander to aid their cause.
Dude, I like Wellington. Dude, Emperor Alexander, wasn't this dude always like feeling himself? I could have sworn that this guy was always like feeling himself. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, freaking, like the way, like what I've heard about him, like he's always like praising himself and whatnot. He's always like upping himself, like worshiping himself, always trying to make himself look all like big up. In Barbados, we say, oh, he likes to act big up and fussy. I don't know like an American English word to like describe it besides feeling himself, which that doesn't sound right the more I think about it. I can like read Cyrillic, kind of. I've kind of sort of been teaching myself a little bit of Russian. I only understand this word, this word, this word, this word, and that word. You know, oh, I also understand that word and that word. But I have a long ways to go. I have a 240-day streak, Russian streak on Duolingo. Oh my gosh, bro. If you're like Russian, bro, like, because I do have Russian people who watch me. Shocking. But like, if you're Russian, bro, please give me tips on how to like actually like, learn Russian in proper ways to not get like completely confused, bro. Alexander.
On the night of the 11th of March, 1801, Alexander's father, Emperor Paul, was strangled to death by a group of disaffected army officers.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Alexander succeeded to the throne, aged just 23. The ineffectiveness and chaos of his father's rule had appalled him. In 1797, he'd written to his tutor, "To speak plainly, the well-being of the state is not at all considered in the administration of affairs. There is only absolute power, which does everything wrong and at cross purposes. The choice of officials is entirely a matter of favoritism. Merit counts for nothing. The farmer is plagued, commerce is hindered, personal liberty and well-being are reduced to nothing." There you have the picture of Russia.
Bro, how bad must you be to be a ruler like that, bro? Jeez, I've never heard of this Emperor Paul fella until now, but
Judge how my heart must suffer. The young Alexander displayed a great enthusiasm for reform, an encouraging sign to Russian aristocrats who wished to see a more modern Russian state.
Okay.
In 1803, he passed a decree that gave landowners the right to free their serfs. Many hoped it was a first.
Okay, so this just gives me a bit of details about how the serfdom system worked. Okay, that's great. So the landowners didn't even have to free their serfs? Oh, come on, bro. That's basically slavery. Come on. Come on. The comment that I read, this is on my reaction to Epic History TV Russia series. They were like, oh, well, you can't, where is that comment? Freaking hell. Whatever. They were like, oh, you can't sell them. Bro, slavery isn't just, going around selling people. Sure, that's a part of slavery, but that's not the core aspect of slavery, my dude. I'm being respectful. I'm not trying to be, rude or anything, but, this right here, this is basically slavery, bro. What the hell?
Step towards the abolition of serfdom. In 1808, the brilliant
indirect slavery, that's why it is. No wonder why serfdom is such a big deal in Russian history. Freaking hell.
and liberal-minded Mikhail Speransky became Alexander's chief advisor. He created a new council of state to advise the emperor, and even began working on a Russian constitution. But in 1812, Alexander's appetite for reform ended abruptly. First, an anti-reform faction, led by the emperor's sister, Grand Duchess Ekaterina Pavlovna, engineered Speransky.
Ekaterina, that name. Russian names are very interesting to me. I've noticed that Russians tend to use extremely similar, very, very similar names. I mean, everywhere everyone uses similar names, but still, I noticed that Russian names are very, very very synonymous, are essentially the same. It's so noticeable. Considering how big Russia is too. I'm like, what in the world? Russia, do you not have more names? Why is that? Do you know how many Russian people I've heard that's named Yekaterina Pavlovna? You know how many times I've heard this name Pavlovna and Yekaterina? The other names that I could think of is Paulina and Margarita, Tanya, I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. Mikhail, yeah, actually. What else? I don't know. I'm not really around a lot of Russian people, but I hear these names all the freaking time. Freaking hell, man. I don't know if it's just me. Is it just me? Just answer my question. Because I have a bunch of Russian people who watch me.
His dismissal. Then, Napoleon invaded Russia. In this moment of supreme crisis, Alexander was seized by religious fervor, a sense of personal mission and national destiny. The burning of Moscow, he declared, had illuminated his soul. Liberal reforms, he could now see, were only the road to anarchy and chaos. They were an intolerable risk to Russia's holy institutions. In
And you know what? Think about that. That logic, right? Kind of still applies today when you really and truly think about it to modern Russia. People say that Russia is poor. I wouldn't really say that Russia is poor. I don't want to like say too much here. I might talk about this stuff more on my Patreon, although I'm not like linking like any of that stuff yet. I don't want to like monetize my content yet. But I feel like Russia is quote unquote poor because the capitalist United States is it doesn't want Russia to succeed. That's all I will say here. But the system that Russia has, it's working. That's why, despite the fact that many people in Russia, would they want Putin gone? Yeah. But he's still keeping things stable. Granted, him and his oligarchs are quite literally taking 60% of the wealth in the country, but that's like capitalist. That's capitalism. Right? 80% of the wealth in the United States doesn't even reach the common folk. But the difference is that the United States is the richest country in the whole world. So people aren't feeling that, although people are now beginning to feel that. Right? The GDP of America is $23 trillion compared to Russia's $2 trillion GDP. And, you know, I'm not really going to discuss this too much here, but America has just had a blessed history, right? That eventually led it to become the number one global country, right? But if the roles were changed, if Russia had the same GDP as America, Russians would be having more money than your average American. Because remember, 60% of the wealth in Russia doesn't go to the common Russian folk, but 80% of the wealth in the United States don't go to the common US folk. So keep that in mind, y'all. Keep that in mind. I'm not going to say too much here, but I really have to like get like a Patreon or something so that I can actually like discuss this type of stuff there. But yeah.
1815. Any officers returning...
Wait. Oh yeah, I was also saying that. Yeah, this still kind of applies, bro. Honestly, like the system still works. This authoritarian system, it just works for Russia. Authoritarian regimes aren't bad. They're not bad. They're not always bad. But if it works, it works. Although Putin has had some questionable moments, I'm not even going to talk about that here.
from Europe, harboring hopes of reform, were to be severely disappointed. Alexander added insult to injury by granting a liberal constitution not to Russia, but to his new kingdom, Poland, not one...
Okay, I think someone had a comment that like explained this to me, but in one of my other reactions, I forgot what video it was. I think it was my Napoleon video. Was it? No, because the Dutch of Warsaw wasn't a thing. But in one of my reactions, I was like, technically, wasn't Poland technically a country? Because people say that, oh, after the partition of Poland, Poland ceased to exist as a country. But technically, wasn't Poland technically a country here? It had its own constitution. It had its own borders. Like Ukraine right here, or should I say Ukraina, the borderland. But Ukraine right there isn't even its own country. It's just like a part of Russia proper, right? But Poland, man, it has its own borders. It has its own king. You know, they're in a personal union with Russia. Yes, but technically, in all definition, wouldn't Poland be its own country, right? Because they have two separate entities, right? And they have two separate constitutions, right? So, I don't know the details of how this happened, I don't know the details of that, but technically, based on what I'm seeing, I wouldn't really say that Poland didn't exist as an independent country. I mean, well, it was dependent on Russia, I guess, but still, Poland still technically existed, even like after the partition, you know? So, I don't know, that always confused me. I don't know. Is that just Polish propaganda? Like, oh, because I know Polish people, like, no offense to Polish people, but y'all do, like, play victim card so much. Y'all do play victim card a bit too much. I'm talking way too much, y'all. Let's continue.
It turned out he planned to honor. 3 years later, when Alexander raised the possibility of a Russian constitution based on this Polish experiment, it proved an empty promise. Idealistic young officers, more alienated than ever, decided that if the emperor would not take up their cause, they must act themselves. They began to organize secret societies and to plan a revolution. Many Russian military officers already belonged to a secret society. Freemasonry had been imported from Europe in the 18th century and was popular among army officers. But in 1816, officers from Russia's...
What is that? He didn't even go into detail. What is that? Someone please explain to me what that is.
Prestigious Guards regiments, based in St. Petersburg, formed a new secret society, the Union of Salvation. 4 of its founding members would play a leading role in a revolutionary movement that became known as the Decembrists. Wow. Nikita Muravyov, a captain in the Guards Division staff.
This is so weird. What in the world? This is weird. This is a painting, bro, and it's moving. That is weird to look at.
Aged 31 at the time of the Decembrist revolt.
Oh my God.
He would draft one of their major plans for constitutional reform. Lieutenant Colonel Sergei Muravyov Apostol.
Oh, what in the world? Oh, heck nah, bro. That is creepy. That is eerie. Please, Epic History. Like, I see what you're doing here, but, just, I don't know, maybe they just did a little experiment, but this is creepy.
Age 30 at the time of the revolt.
That is so creepy.
He would lead...
Dude, look at the way how his face moves. What in the world?
The Decembrist uprising in Ukraine. Colonel Prince Sergei Trubetskoy, age 36 at the time of the revolt. A war hero from one of...
Oh my gosh, look at his eyes, bro. Oh my gosh. That is so... Oh my... This is just no.
Russia's most distinguished...
Just look at him.
...families. Trubetskoy would be chosen to lead the Decembrist coup in St. Petersburg. And Colonel Pavel Pestel of the Vyatka Infantry Regiment.
Okay, he doesn't look bad. This doesn't look bad. This doesn't look bad.
33 at the time of the revolt. Also a decorated war hero, badly wounded at Borodino.
Okay, this is like the most normal looking one that I've seen so far. The rest just looks like, what in the world?
He was a brilliant, if uncompromising officer, and one of the most active and radical members of the Union. He would argue for the emperor's death and creation of a Russian republic.
Whoa, all right.
The Union of Salvation soon merged with another secret society, the Order of Russian Knights, to form the Union of Prosperity.
That sounds like a cool name. Order of Russian Knights.
With more than 200 members.
All right.
Its charter, known as the Green Book, set out how the Union was to be organized. It also spelled out its commitment to educating the public about Enlightenment ideals of virtuous, moral citizenship. This, it was hoped, would generate wider support for reform among Russia's elite. Only a trusted inner circle was privy to the Union's more radical, long-term goals of securing a constitution and ending serfdom.
Yo, shout out to them. These are aristocrats, right? These are aristocrats. They don't even have to do this. Shout out to them, honestly. Oh my gosh. Freaking out. I really want to learn Russian so bad. I really want to learn Russian so bad. There's so much that I don't know. This is why I want to learn Russian. I want to learn Russian because I want to like read like Russian text from history, you know, because I like, sure, I could read it in English, but let's be real, guys. Any text, any primary source, especially in its original like text, is much more like much better to read. You know what I mean? And also because I just don't trust anything about Russian history in the West, to be completely real with you, because it's just propaganda, freaking Western propaganda to the max. So, I know I said this like before, but I'll say it again, if you are Russian, because Russian people do watch me, please, like, if you have any tips on like how to like better learn Russian, like tell me, please. Freaking hell, dude. Cause I know like the sentence structure. I know a little bit of the grammar. Pronunciation, oh my gosh, I'm not even like good. I'm quite newbie still, bro. But like if I had to read this, like what is this? Dilia Chivo Je Ruski Narod I Ruski Ruskoyi Vonis, like, yeah. I'm not like freaking like, oh, why are the Russian people and the Russian army unhappy because the Tsars have stolen their freedom? Yeah, I'm not like to that level. I'm not nowhere near that freaking level, fam. But bro, if you have any tips, bro, because my whole game plan was just to freaking like get 500 of the most common words in Russian, and then like continue, like go from there. Since I already know like the Cyrillic or the Russian alphabet. Well, yeah, the Russian alphabet, because Cyrillic is used in other places. I then go from there. Russian grammar, there's a wonderful app called Babbel that I use that was explaining Russian grammar to me. Very nice. Although I know Russians don't care about grammar. Oh my gosh, I am yapping so much, y'all. Let us continue.
The leaders of the Union of Prosperity were wise to be wary. Alexander had tightened censorship laws, while allies kept him informed about Russia's supposedly secret societies.
Nah, that's crazy.
For the moment, he tolerated them, telling one courtier, "You who have served me since the beginning of my reign know that I have shared and encouraged all these dreams and delusions. It is not for me to be strict." His new closest advisor, General Alexei Arakchev, felt no such restraint.
Alexei, again, another name that I keep hearing. I've never heard of this last name, though.
Arakchev had masterminded the organization of Russian artillery.
Or should I say surname, which isn't surname, does not translate to familia in Russian, right? Haha, I see. I know these random Russian words from like freaking sitting here and like teaching myself a bit of Russian. So
during the Napoleonic Wars, and was famed for ruthless efficiency, a violent temper, and absolute loyalty to the emperor.
Wow. Okay. I hope I see this guy in action in my Napoleonic Wars in chronological order series.
He loathed almost anything to do with Western Europe. "You don't get things done by talking softly in French," he once remarked.
Damn.
Arakchev was put in charge of the emperor's latest idea, the so-called military settlements. The plan was to cut the cost of Russia's huge army by having soldiers and serfs live side by side in new villages organized like military camps, with strict discipline. It was a harsh policy, even by the standards of Russian autocracy, and led to misery.
Bro, even by the standards of Russian autocracy, you can still get even worse? What the heck?
Riots and rising resentment against the regime. Arakcheyev also enforced strict new standards of discipline and conduct in the army. The soldiers who had defeated Napoleon were now subjected to endless parades and inspections. Small infractions were brutally punished. Officers who spoke out on behalf of their men were dismissed.
My man is not playing around. And you know what? I can't blame him. Bro, let me tell y'all something, right? Personal stuff right here. Not too personal. But like, in my experience, bro, when you're easy on people, people won't take you seriously. But when you're like really hard, like this guy right here, people will take you seriously. That's just something that I've just learned throughout life. So
1820, a protest by the Semyonovsky Lifeguard Regiment, one of the army's senior units, led to even more savage punishments. To the Decembrist leaders, it proved that even elite regiments had fallen out of love with the regime.
Nah, bro. Even the elites, bro, the elites
themselves would be acting in a strong Russian tradition of palace coups led by army officers to secure dynastic and political change.
Bro, this is like how the freaking Rome, you know, in the Roman Empire would just be deposing emperor after emperor after emperor after emperor after emperor. Which is funny because I know Russia likes to call itself the Russian Empire, like to call itself, because the Russian Empire is now the Russian Federation, the third Rome, which is why Tsar, I think Tsar is like a translation to Caesar. Interestingly enough, I think that even like the name Caesar, it isn't even pronounced as Caesar, it's more pronounced as Caesar, I think, something like that. But the point is, Russia is unironically like acting like Rome right here.
The crucial task was to be ready when the moment came.
If you're a web designer,
Uskoy narod. Oh my god, I really got to practice. Like, bro, I have to practice. I have to practice my Russian, dude. You see, the thing is that I paused my Russian to go and focus on my YouTube. So I was like, oh, freaking hell. It was like, I was passionate to learn it. Don't get me wrong. I was passionate to learn it. But I was like, oh, well, I gotta like focus on my YouTube. I gotta get my channel going. And I'm gonna probably like get a job soon, right? Cause I'm about to get done with like high school and whatnot. Right now, I'm just like doing Duolingo. You know, Duolingo teaches me slowly but surely, you know, but still, dude, oh my god, I really gotta get used to freaking Cyrillic, dude.
By 1821, the number of new members joining the Union of Prosperity made its founders suspicious of infiltration and discovery. So they dissolved the Union.
So
its most trusted and...
Oh my god, I was trying to read that in my head. Damn it. What was that? Like, what was that? What was that word? Wait a minute. Soyuz. Whatever.
Of infiltration and so they members formed two new groups, each with around 20 to 30 members. The Northern Society was based in the Russian capital, St. Petersburg, and was initially the more moderate organization. The more radical Southern Society was based in Tulchin, Ukraine, where several Decembrist officers were stationed with their regiments. Both societies spent their time holding secret meetings at the apartments of their members. They would stay up late into the night discussing political ideas, reading aloud from banned literature.
Bro, this reminds me of the founding fathers of the American Revolution. They would do similar things. One interesting correlation. Wow. Because if you know the history of the American Revolution, the founding fathers basically did the same exact
drafting
thing.
manifestos and resolutions. The Northern Society adopted a draft constitution by Nikita Muravyov as its aims.
See, another name that is so similar, like Nikita, bro, I've heard this name so many times, bro. Although I've never heard of this surname or last name or familia or...
His moderate document would make Russia a constitutional monarchy, but was otherwise heavily influenced by the US Constitution of 1787.
Oh, so maybe this isn't a coincidence. Okay.
He too called for a division of power between executive, legislature, and judiciary, with each imposing checks and balances on the...
Bro, I know I'm pausing a lot, but like, think about this. Imagine a world where Russia has a constitution inspired by the US Constitution. Bro, that is so cursed to think about. That time, I cannot imagine that timeline, bro.
The others. The executive was the emperor, supreme official of the Russian government, who would command the armed forces, lead foreign policy, and had the power to veto legislation. The legislature, a people's Vyeche, or assembly, composed of a supreme Duma, or Senate, and a House of Representatives. Serfdom would be abolished, and there would be equality before the law. The right to vote would be restricted to those who owned a certain amount of property, thus
Alright, chat, let's talk about this, although I'm not already gonna say chat, but alright, people, let's talk about the right to vote. Look, bro, in my personal opinion, some people do not deserve the right to vote. This whole, just let everyone vote. Yeah, some people just don't deserve the right to vote. Like, some people are just too... I don't know if it's because I live in America. But like Americans, bro, like, oh my gosh, they don't use their democracy to the fullest extent. And to me, it's just like, why are you not using this democracy to your fullest extent? What even is the point of a democracy if you're not using it to the fullest extent? Which is why when I look at the system in Russia, and the whole Putin thing, I'm just like low key, I'm just like, okay, it works, right? Like, cause look at America. To all the Russians, right, who are watching this right now, right? If you're this far into the video, right? Bro, like, I know some of y'all say that, oh yeah, we want democracy, yada yada. Bro, look, bro. Cause I know like Russians tend to be smart people and whatnot, which is why I like respect Russians. But like, look at how it is in America, bro. Americans don't care about democracy, and frankly speaking, they don't even care about politics. They don't. But hey, maybe it's different for Russian people, but to me, it's just like, what the heck is the point if people just don't care about any of this stuff? People are like, oh, this doesn't affect my life, yada yada, bro. It does. It does, but whatever, let's continue.
Excluding the very poorest Russians. The Russian Empire was also to become a federal state of 15 regions, each with their own executives and assemblies.
Okay, so Russia is a federation today, so that's basically like what happened to it, right? Kind of, sort of, right?
However, in 1823, a new member would take the Northern Society in a much more radical direction. 27-year-old Kondraty Ryleyev was another war veteran and a famous poet. He was passionate, eloquent, and devoted to the cause of revolution. He was known for his satire of the hated General Arakcheyev, secretly circulating amongst Russian liberals. All fear,
I can only imagine.
Tyrant, for evil and treachery, thou shalt be condemned by thy posterity. Ryleyev despised monarchy in all its forms. There are no...
What? I'm a monarchist. I am a monarchist. I support a monarchy. All its form, I support constitutional monarchy. My country was a constitutional monarchy until it was abolished almost 3 years ago ish. Even and the way how it was abolished, it was dumb because the people didn't even want it to be abolished. The government just went and did their own thing. That's a whole different story. But I grew up in a constitutional monarchy with Queen Elizabeth II, and it was fine. It was fine. Like my country, Barbados, is a high income nation. Like it was literally fine. Like the queen never interfered with our politics, and I supported the monarchy. Sure, it might be different there, but I supported the monarchy because it was, to me, it was the best system. Like you had a person, well, at least for me, the queen was all the way up in England, fam, right? So to me, it was like, okay, well, she's a neutral source, like she's a neutral source that isn't involved in our like country's antiques or politics and whatnot. So if anything like came to shove, she wouldn't have like any biases whatsoever. That system was perfect. That system was literally perfect, bro. So saying you support monarchy, you don't support it in any form. No, I think monarchy, it could be the best system in the right form and right country.
Good governments in the world, except in America, he declared. He proved a highly...
That's so debatable. The two-party system that America has, no. The two-party system that America has is destroying it. Is literally destroying the country. America, no. I mean, granted, he doesn't know what America is like today. Things are very different, but still.
Influential figure.
No. Because even George Washington himself, before he died, he literally said, please don't make America have political parties. And they still did it anyways, and he was right. So, no.
And soon a radical wing of the Northern Society formed around him, taking up his argument for a Republican revolution. A friend described a meeting at his apartment around this time. There must have been more than a dozen people in the room, but at first I could not distinguish anything because of the dense blue haze of pipe and cigar smoke. They were sprawling on sofas and on the deep windowsills. Young Alexander Odojevsky and Bestujev sat cross-legged, Turkish fashion, on a Persian carpet. An intense youth with a pale complexion and prominent forehead lifts a glass. Death to the Tsar! The toast is received with emotion. Ryliev's jet-black eyes light up with an inner flame. They sing to the death of the Tsar. The rhythmic chant flows through the open windows for all to hear.
I think I'm going to start cutting carbs.
Oh my gosh, bro. I'm still trying to read the thing in Russian. Bro, my Russian is like so freaking bad, bro. Like I can say like basic stuff and that's it. Like if I had to like say like something basic in Russian, because my vocabulary, I don't know much vocabulary in Russian. I could say something like, I don't know, like мой русский плохой, right? I don't know. Like I think that's like my Russian is bad, right? Or I could say that in another way, like, мой русский не хорошо, right? Did I say that right? Я не знаю, which is like, I don't know, right? Я не знаю, right? Like if I had it, I'm trying to think of sentences because I don't know like much vocabulary in Russian. This is from like me just teaching myself. Like, I don't know. Let me think. Я не знаю очень русский. I don't know if that's right, but I'm trying to say I don't know much Russian. I don't know. Let's continue.
The leading figure of the Southern Society, based in Ukraine, was Colonel Pavel Pestel. He provided the group with its own constitution, Russkaya Pravda, Russian Truth. This lengthy, unfinished treatise was much more radical than Muravyov's constitution. There was no place for an emperor in Pestel's new Russia. The former supreme power has already sufficiently proved its hostile feelings towards the Russian people. The current order will cease to exist. Pestel called for a revolution spearheaded by a provisional supreme council that would implement gradual but sweeping change. The two main needs for Russia are clear: a complete reorganization of the state order and structure, and the publication of a completely new code of laws, while preserving everything that is useful and destroying everything that is harmful. Serfdom would be abolished, land redistributed to the peasants, class privileges abolished, and the vote given to all Russian male citizens.
Bro, the music is making this so like intense. Like, oh, this is something like serious and what. I mean, it is serious, but like this is good. But the music does not fit. Like the music does not fit like at all.
The northern and south.
Like listen to this music. This music looks like, or should I say, it sounds like freaking hell. It sounds like something bad is about to happen, but this is good.
Northern societies remained in close contact, despite major differences of opinion between and within both societies. There was still much that bound them. All desired the abolition of serfdom and conscription, the end of autocratic government, the establishment of new rights and freedoms for the Russian people. What's more, they felt themselves to be in step with a spirit of the age, as revolutions and conspiracies spread across Europe in the name of liberty. Such events reaffirmed their conviction that change in Russia must come from direct action, a coup d'etat, or revolution. In 1825, Pavel Pestel learned that the following spring Emperor Alexander and his entourage would travel to Ukraine to inspect troops of the Second Army. Pestel formed a plan to assassinate the emperor and launch a coup to establish a Russian republic.
All right.
The date was set, the 12th of March, 1826.
All right.
After urgent communications with the Northern Society, Ryliev's faction agreed to launch a simultaneous uprising in the capital, St. Petersburg.
How in the world are they able to communicate this much without not... Well, to be fair, the emperor, the Tsar knew, right? But no, didn't they reform again because they were afraid that the Tsar knew? So I don't think the Tsar knows about this, right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
But in December, unexpected news threw all their plans into disarray. That winter, Emperor Alexander visited southern Russia, where it was hoped the climate would improve his wife's frail health. Instead, Alexander himself became seriously ill. He died at Taganrog, aged 47.
Bro, this is the biggest historical irony. This is the biggest historical irony right here.
Typhus was the most likely cause. Alexander's sudden death was a shock to all Russia. The Decembrists had agreed that the best time to force political change was at the succession of a new Tsar. Now was their moment.
Yeah.
But no one was quite sure who the new Tsar was.
Oh.
Alexander had died without legitimate offspring. By the law of succession, he should have been succeeded by the eldest of his younger brothers, Grand Duke Constantine. But Constantine was terrified at the prospect of becoming emperor. "I will be strangled, just as my father was strangled," he would.
Nah, bro knows. He knows what's up, bro. He knows what's up. He don't want that smoke. Okay, that's hilarious. That
Say
is
when the
hilarious.
subject came up. So 3 years before his death, Alexander signed a secret document making his younger brother, Grand Duke Nicholas, his heir. But when
Bro, imagine things being that bad that you don't even want to be a ruler of a whole empire like Russia, bro. Nah, he's smart.
Alexander suddenly died, the new order of succession was still secret, known only to a few members of the imperial family.
Oh, but why
All of Russia assumed Constantine was their new emperor. Patriarchs, politicians, and troops swore new oaths of loyalty. Even Grand Duke Nicholas swore an oath, judging it better to observe the usual customs until Alexander's secret document could be made public.
So he just played along?
But Constantine, based in Warsaw in his role as commander-in-chief of the Polish army, had no intention of taking the throne. Nicholas urged his brother to come to St. Petersburg and publicly renounce the throne to end the confusion.
Okay.
Constantine refused. "I cannot accept your request to come to St. Petersburg and warn you that I shall move even further away unless everything..."
Bro, this man, bro, this man is so scared. I completely understand. Like, I can't even blame him. It's just hilarious because this is probably like one of the smartest people that I probably like seen in this time period.
Everything is settled in accordance with the will of our late sovereign. Meanwhile, the Decembrists in St. Petersburg were meeting daily. They had been caught off guard by Alexander's death, but the chaos of the interregnum provides perfect cover for them.
This is drippy. This uniform.
They recruit more officers to their cause, sound out the rank and file, work out who can be relied on and who cannot. Ryleyev works without pause. All are fired with a wild enthusiasm. That December, rumors, confusion, and fake news swirl around the Russian capital. Grand Duke Nicholas knows he is not popular with the troops. They regard him as another martinet, overly fond of inspections and parades. Now he is told that unknown army officers are actively conspiring against him. He decides to act first. In the early hours of the 14th of December, 1825, Nicholas declares himself Emperor of Russia. He will require an oath of loyalty that morning from all officials and troops in St. Petersburg. The Decembrists know that if the troops swear that oath, their cause is lost. There might not be another opportunity like this in decades. The 14th of
this is getting crazy.
December becomes do or die for the revolutionaries. And before the day is out, the streets of the Russian capital will run with blood.
Okay. Funny thing is that I actually reacted to this series on my own long time ago though, by Epic History TV. I actually forgot like most of what happened. So it's good that I'm rewatching this. I'm like learning everything and I'm able to say like my thoughts and whatnot. This is good though. This is good. Definitely gotta react to the next part. Bro, if you like my reactions, bro, make sure to like the video. I don't even know how long. Like, am I still recording? Okay, I am. But like, I don't even know how long I've been recording for. But like, I've been recording for a freaking long time, y'all. Okay, if you enjoy me trying to speak my basic Russian, I don't know, man. Look, check out, just like the video. If you have any tips on how I could get better at Russian, I guess, or where the best place to like start at learning, like what I should start learning first to get accustomed to Russian, tell me. And check out these videos that are appearing on your screen. It should be on your screen right now. I don't know. Make sure to subscribe too for more content like this, and give me more suggestions in the comments. Guys, I'm looking at all of y'all suggestions in the comments, and this is why I said I might have to soon make like a Patreon or something, because like I see all y'all suggestions, but I'm like, okay, I'm gonna react to this, I gotta react to that, I gotta react to that. Like at this point, I might just create like a Patreon or something, or a Cash App, so that, you know, you just give me like a little dollar or two, and I'll, you know, so that I can react to your stuff quicker. You know, again, capitalism. We live in a capitalist society, you know, gotta. But seriously though, like, there's so much stuff that people want me to react to, bro. But yeah, man, thank you for watching and have a good day.